I have been selected as the daughter-in-law of the Pei family since I was a child. At the age of 20, she married Pei Su, who suffered from autism. After 5 years of marriage, Pei Su has always hated me. Don't accept my touch, let alone have sex with me. Later he met a girl. He restrained all his temper in front of her, and behaved clumsily. I will write songs for her and give her gifts. Even the study, which never let me set foot in, was open to that girl without reservation. I know that Pei Su has someone he likes, and I don't want to take care of him anymore. So I found Mr. Pei. I told him that I wanted a divorce. 1. Before I met Pei Su, my life had not been easy. My mother is a face control and fell in love with my dad's face. She loved so much that she got out of bed with my dad without a clear memorization. And then, there was me. After I gave birth, my mother found out that my dad was actually from a wealthy family. The kind that just waved her hand, and let her eat and drink for the rest of her life. The bad news is that my dad is the son-in-law of a wealthy family. In other words, he is a phoenixman who relies on his wife to squeeze into high society. And my mother is his third son. The main room came to catch the adulterer, and he caught my mother. Don't look at my dad usually looking very angry in front of my mother, in front of the main room, he is as humble as a dog. My dad immediately cut off contact with my mother. I don't even admit it. My mother pulled me alone, and life was difficult. Pedaling a tricycle, setting up a small stall, being chased by the urban management for dozens of kilometers, and one of his shoes ran away. Later, she had enough of these days. She said she wanted to find me a good way out. I don't know what method my mother used, but she actually took out the paternity test between me and my dad. Then, she ran to my dad's door and made a fuss, insisting that my dad raise me. The Giants, worried about the scandal, agreed to the request. Since then, my mother and I have been separated. On the day she was sent to Shin's house, my mother laughed and burst into tears. Ran, you will never be hungry again. But my mother was too naive. My dad treats me like a stain, and Mrs. Shin hates me. The people below are used to seeing the wind steering the rudder, so naturally they won't give me any good colors. As for my half-sisters, they even think of ways to bully me every day. But my mother won't know these things. That meeting at the door of Shin's house was the last time I saw her in my life. She had cancer, which was already advanced, and she couldn't afford the medical bills. After giving me to my dad, she jumped into the river. And I grew up in the Shin family as an adopted daughter, and I lived a cautious life. When I was 15 years old, I met a boy at Shin's house. He was cut by a rose thorn, and the wound on his arm was still bleeding. But he seemed to be unaware, wearing headphones and listening to songs in the garden. I thought about it, brought him iodophor to clean the wound, and put it on with a band-aid. Later I learned that this boy's name was Pei Su. His grandfather brought him to Shin's house as a guest. For some reason, Mr. Pei took a fancy to me, and wanted me to be his granddaughter-in-law. The Pei family is an old family, and my dad naturally agreed. When my sisters heard the news, they laughed and ridiculed me one by one. Do you think you have climbed a high branch? If it's really a good marriage, which round will I get you? That Pei Su, who has suffered from autism and bipolar disorder since he was a child, is not a normal person. But because of the marriage contract with Pei Su, Mrs. Shin finally gave me a good color. My life at the Shin family is much better, at least they don't bully me. I often think of the skinny boy who listened quietly to music in the garden when I first met him. He didn't know that he had helped me a lot invisibly. I am grateful to him from the bottom of my heart. I began to understand his condition and learn how to get along with him in the future. Then at the age of 20, under the arrangement of the two families, I married Pei Su. 2. I didn't know that Pei Su was so resistant to marrying me. After marrying in, he didn't give me a good face. He wouldn't allow me to touch him, let alone have sex with me. On the night of the wedding, he lost his temper at me in the wedding room. Go away. Don't be in my room. Get out. You get me out. I hung my head in embarrassment, and a feeling of embarrassment welled up from my heart. That day, Mr. Pei came to me. He said that Pei Su had been withdrawn since he was a child, and did not like to contact people. The aunt who took care of Pei Su before had just passed away, and Pei Su's condition was particularly bad during this time. He asked me to take care of it and give Pei Su a little time. I nodded in agreement. Since then, I have taken on the task of taking care of Pei Su. Run between the school and the Pei family. Pei Su should be reminded to take his medicine on time, take him to the hospital for follow-up visits regularly, and arrange his recipes and clothes. Fortunately, Pei Su was not wood, and he gradually responded to me. For example, stop saying the word "get out" to me. For example, when he saw me falling asleep on the sofa, he would awkwardly cover me with a quilt. For another example, when I have menstrual cramps, help me make a cup of brown sugar water. But he never shared a room with me. The Pei family has a single lineage, and Pei Su is the only man in this generation. Mr. Pei has been anxious to hug his great-grandson, and he has urged me many times. But he doesn't want this kind of thing, and I can't help it. Finally, in the 5th year, Mr. Pei couldn't sit still at all. Without my knowledge, he gave Pei Su medicine. Then I sent Pei Su to my bed. Lock the door and trap us. I still remember that night. Hurt. It really hurts. Driven by the drug, his eyes were blurred and he acted according to his body's instincts. But he had no experience and acted roughly. I only felt like it was a tear, and tears fell down. When it was about to dawn, I couldn't bear it and passed out. At noon the next day, I was woken up by the sound of smashing things. 3. Pei Su lost his temper. He smashed my phone, smashed the color TV hanging on the wall, and the table and chair crackled and fell to the side. Seeing me wake up, he walked up to me with a mirror in his hand. The mirror reflects my appearance. At that time, I didn't even have time to put on my clothes, and I was covered in red marks and bruises. He pointed to me in the mirror, with undisguised contempt in his eyes. "You're so dirty, so disgusting. I hate you. I don't want to see you again." I was in very poor physical condition that day, and I was staggering when I walked. But as soon as Pei Su fell ill, the person disappeared. I had no choice but to go out and find him. I didn't care about eating, from noon to early morning. He searched almost every place he frequented, and his calves trembled when he walked to the back. But I still didn't find him. When I was gasping for breath at the door of my house in despair, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Pei Su finally came back. There was also a girl standing beside him. There is a pear swirl when you laugh, which is particularly sweet. The girl looked up at him. "This is the first time I've met someone as like-minded as you. Getting to know you is the biggest gain of this concert." Only then did I know that Pei Su had gone to the concert alone. His phone was out of battery and he couldn't remember his way home, so it was the girl who sent him back. Pei Su's steps were very slow, and although the road back was very short, he walked for a long time. They talked about music together, about composers and performers I didn't know. Pei Su has loved music since he was a child. He studied under famous artists, opened a studio after graduation, and composed many famous songs. I stood at the door of the house and listened quietly. They chatted for 30 minutes but Pei Su never found me. Or the housekeeper couldn't stand it, so he reminded out loud. "Young master, it's late, go back to sleep. Madam has been waiting for you." The girl followed the reputation, was slightly startled and asked Pei Su, "Is this your wife?" Pei Su's face was embarrassed, he was silent for a moment and nodded. And then immediately added, forced. "I don't like her. I hate her very much." At that moment I stood still. A sense of shame surged up inexplicably, making me feel embarrassed. The girl's name is Xie Shuiying. Xie Shuiying pulled his sleeves and bent her eyes. "It's getting late, we'll see you next time." From that day on, my relationship with Pei Su dropped to a freezing point again. He refused to say a word to me. For his birthday, I gave him a new version of the headphones. I heard that the sound quality is very good, and it has been sold out many times, so I made a reservation half a year in advance. But Pei Su just used a lighter and burned the headphones to pieces in front of me. I don't like you. I don't like what you give me either. Garbage. I don't want it. On his birthday that year, he went out to spend it with Xie Shuiying. Since that meeting, he and Xie Shuiying have been in touch. Some time ago, Xie Shuiying also went to his studio for an internship. When he came back in the evening, he wore a silver ring. It was a birthday gift from Xie Shuiying. I looked at the wreckage of the headphones on the ground, and endless exhaustion was born in the depths of my heart. The next day, Mr. Pei suddenly called and asked me to go to the study. He asked me to take a document and give it to his secretary. But I remember that Pei Su never allowed me to enter the study. I hesitated. Mr. Pei urged me, saying that the document was urgently needed, and the secretary was already waiting at the door. After thinking about it, I went to get the document. Before leaving, restore everything in the study to its original state. But Pei Su still knew about my entry into the study. His mobile phone was connected to the study monitor. He rushed back from the studio, his brows full of hostility and gloom. You can't go in, you can't. His emotions spread like an invisible storm indoors. Because I went to the study to get a document, he even had someone clean the study from beginning to end. I looked at him blankly and asked the doubts in my heart. Why can't I go in? During this time, Pei Su often invited Xie Shuiying to sit at home. They discussed music in the study and stayed all day. Why can Xie Shuiying do it but I can't? Also, I'm not dirty, why should I ask someone to clean the study? His face became colder. She's different from you. She understands music and is a bosom friend. You don't understand, if you go in, you will get dirty. Over the years, I have become accustomed to his short expressions and instantly understood what he meant. When he gets emotional, I always go to comfort him first. But on this day, knowing that he was very angry, I couldn't coax him as usual. I closed my eyes. Pei Su, it really hurts you to talk like this. At this time, hypoglycemia was committed, and I stumbled and took a step back. But by the way, I was standing in front of the door of the study. The door was not closed and I accidentally stepped into the study. Pei Su mistakenly thought I was provoking him. His eyes were sharp, and the blue veins on his forehead suddenly rose. He pointed at me and said a lot of unpleasant things, which finally boiled down to 3 sentences. Go away. This is my home, not yours, get out of here. Don't appear in my house again. This is not the first time I have heard these words. When I first entered the Shin family, my half-sisters told me this. At that time, I hid under the covers and cried secretly. I think that in the future, I must have a home of my own, a home that Northwest one else can drive away. After getting married, I mistakenly thought that this villa with Pei Su was my home. Although it can't shield me from the wind and rain, it is my home in the end. But today, he told me hoarsely that the house was in his name, the money was from his family, and this was not my home. He told me to get out quickly. Emotions surged and helplessness almost engulfed me. I hung my head and counted the days. It has been 10 years since I met Pei Su at the age of 15. At the age of 15, because of my engagement with him, I lived a comfortable life for 5 years. At the age of 20, I married Pei Su and took good care of him for 5 years. 5 years later, I have finished repaying the kindness of the Pei family. I'm tired of days like this. I want a divorce. 4. Once the idea of divorce arises, it is like a seed that breaks through the soil and grows all the way. A week later, I met Mr. Pei. I told him I wanted a divorce. Mr. Pei sat on the sofa in the old house, bent his index finger and tapped on the table. Why? I told him that Pei Su had someone he liked. He would restrain his temper in front of that person, and behave clumsily. Will write her songs, give her gifts, and stubbornly make her happy. With Xie Shuang here, Pei Su's mood will be much better. Whether objective or subjective, she is more suitable for Pei Su than me. After hearing this, Mr. Pei did not make a sound. After a long time, he coughed and asked me seriously. Shuran, do you know why I chose you as my granddaughter-in-law in the first place? Because I sent Pei Su a band-aid. I asked him. He shook his head, no. I have investigated you, I know that you have a pure heart, and I also know that you are embarrassed and unpopular in the Shin family. You need this engagement. After having a marriage contract, for the sake of the Pei family, your life will be much better. It is precisely because of this that you will regard Pei Su as a lifesaver, grateful to him, tolerate him, and even condone him. When I learned that you chose to major in psychology at university, I knew I was right and you did. He sighed. A child like Pei Su, if he doesn't get sick, will naturally be hot. But he happened to be sick. I am just this one grandson, so naturally I have to plan for him, find him an absolutely loyal wife, and take care of him for the rest of my life. I don't know what kind of girl Xie Shuang you are talking about. I don't feel at ease to hand over Pei Su to her. Speaking of this, he looked at me and said openly. Shuran, you grew up in the Shin family and know what a rich man looks like. Not to mention that there is a woman outside, even if there are 10, it is not surprising. In contrast, Pei Su is simple by nature, not like other men, which is already very good. Besides, as long as I am here, no woman can shake the status of your main wife. What else are you not satisfied with? I understand what he means, but I don't want to stay at home with an autistic person and live such a life that ends at a glance. Pei Su drove me away. I told Mr. Pei seriously, my existence now will only make him feel bored. During this time, he became ill more and more frequently. After hearing these words, Mr. Pei's face gradually became solemn, and he reconsidered my relationship with Pei Su. After a long time, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Shuran, I'll think about the divorce again, you go back first. Also, Pei Su is your husband after all, and you have to ask him for his opinion on this matter. I nodded, got up and left. How could Pei Su disagree? He should be eager to sign the divorce agreement. It rained a drizzling spring rain today, and it was very windy outside. When I left the old house, I saw Pei Su. He stood by the unclosed door, wearing a white shirt and holding an umbrella in his hand. A large puddle of rain accumulated on the tip of the umbrella. I don't know how long he stood here, and how much he listened to. The moment he saw me, he pursed his lips tightly, his face turned white. You said you want to divorce me. 5. After getting my affirmative answer, Pei Su didn't speak for a while, as if he was thinking about something. After a while, he asked me, will you still take care of me after the divorce? I was stunned and laughed dumbly. Pei Su, the meaning of divorce is that the two of us are strangers from now on. I am no longer your wife, and I have no obligation to take care of you. Got it. The rain gradually intensified, and the rain flew diagonally, wet half of his shoulder. Pei Su looked at me seriously and shook his head, don't leave. I really didn't expect him to want a divorce. Why? I asked him. Divorce, no one takes care of me. Don't you like Xie Shuang? You can let her take care of your food, clothing, and daily life. But Pei Su still stubbornly shook his head, don't. She's busy and wants to create. She can't stay at home all the time. You are idle, you take care of me. I hung my head and stared at the water in the shallow pit, only to feel a chill in my heart. He thought that Xie Shuang had his own pursuits, and was reluctant to trap her at home. And I, this boring and vulgar woman in his eyes, should have been born around him. Pei Su, if you need someone to take care of you, then you can spend money to hire a nanny. Before I came, didn't Zhang's mother take good care of you too? I tried to reason with him. But he was stubborn and insisted that I take care of him. As he spoke, his hands were clenched into fists, and his palms were deeply scratched. This was a precursor to the onset of his condition. I didn't want to argue with him anymore, so I walked home. He followed behind me, saying the words, "no divorce," over and over again. I didn't agree, and he picked his hand until it was bloody. The Pei family is very rich, and will not afford to hire a nanny. I don't understand why Pei Su is so stubborn. After asking, he looked forward to AI for a long time, and said 2 words. Habit. Habits are formed slowly. I told him, when I first took care of you, weren't you used to it? There is always a process of adaptation to everything, and if you run in more, you will get used to it. He is stubborn, more stubborn than a donkey. Seeing that I refused to cooperate, he began to shout. Don't leave. You have to listen to me. I know that at times like this, it is useless to persuade him. I simply closed my mouth. He thought I had promised him, and his furrowed brows finally loosened. The moment he saw Xie Shuang at the door of his house, his eyes lit up instantly. The divorce was left behind by him. He and Xie Shuang entered the study together. Before Pei Su went in, he deliberately locked the study. As if he was afraid that someone would break in. Not long after, a melodious piano sound came from inside. With the girl's bright laughter, everything seems to be alive. When Xie Shuang came out, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. It was raining heavily outside, and Pei Su glanced at the rain and called out to her. If it rains, you will get gonorrhea when you go out. At night, just stay here. Xie Shuang blinked and smiled at him. Fool, I don't bring pajamas, how can I live? Pei Su pointed at me, she has. Then I have to ask your wife if she agrees with me staying tonight, and if she is willing to lend me clothes. Xie Shuang looked at me with a smile. But without waiting for me to answer, Pei Su took the lead. Yes. Xie Shuang's cheek appeared with a shallow pear vortex, tilting her head and blaming him. How can you answer randomly on behalf of others? Pei Su pointed to the villa, this is my home, not hers. He pointed to the cloakroom, clothes, spend my family's money to buy them. I'll have the final say. So Xie Shuang said sweetly to me. Mrs. Pei, then I'll stay tonight. I wonder if it will disturb your married life. Hearing this, Pei Su's reaction was bigger than mine. He hurriedly explained, and even waved his hand. We don't. That kind of thing, disgusting. I listened quietly, didn't look up, and looked at my phone quietly. Pei Su is right, this is not my home. I'm going to move out. 6. Finding a suitable apartment is not easy. When I was in the Shen family, I didn't have pocket money, so I told the housekeeper what I lacked, and the housekeeper would generally agree to reasonable requests. After arriving at Pei's house, Mr. Pei gave me 50,000 yuan a month for living expenses. It looks like a lot, but it includes Pei Su's medical expenses, psychological intervention fees, nutritious meals, and the food, drink, and salary of all the people in the villa. If you calculate carefully, you can probably have a few thousand left every month. So I don't have much savings. After looking at it for 2 days, I found an apartment at a moderate price. When he was sorting out his clothes, Pei Su happened to go home. After mentioning divorce last time, his attitude towards me eased slightly. Very occasionally, he will take the initiative to talk to me. For example, now. He asked me, "Are you going to throw these away?" I shook my head, no. He pointed to my stack of clothes. I threw it away, it doesn't look good. You don't understand art, you don't know how to match. These clothes are ugly. I stopped what I was doing and looked at him. What kind of thing is it that looks good? He thought about it seriously and replied to me, Shuang looks like that. You learn more from her. I have money, I can buy it for you. I looked at the white dress stacked on top and was slightly startled. This skirt was chosen by Pei Su when he and I were shopping a year ago. I still vividly remember his reaction when I walked out of the fitting room. He stumbled and said two words over and over again. "It's beautiful." But the clothes were still the same clothes, but he thought it was old-fashioned and outdated. Has the clothes changed, or has the person changed? I lowered my eyelashes and kept moving my hands. No need, I like my style. Pei Su's eyes gradually welled up with anger. After he dropped "follow you," he turned around and left. The door closed loudly, and the bang sound made my eardrums hurt. That night, he didn't walk out of the room again. So he didn't know I left the villa. When I first came to Pei's house, I was carrying a 24-inch suitcase and a blue backpack. When I left the Pei family, I was still in this line. Pei Su is right, this is not my home, so there are very few things that belong to me. I only stayed in the apartment for one day and left for Spring City. When I was a child, my mother always told me that life would get better and better. When she saved enough money, she took me on a trip. After my mother left, I also coaxed myself that life would get better and better. When I have saved enough money, I will travel by myself. But things in the world are always not satisfactory. I just jumped from one cage to another. Pei Su can't do without people, I can't go far. I tried to take him out with me. But he has lived in the city for a long time, and it is difficult to adapt to changes in the environment. Insecure, he was restless on the high-speed train. Even eating became a problem. There was no way, I had to take him off the bus at the next stop. How excited you are when planning your trip, and how frustrated you are the moment you get out of the car. It turns out that if you save enough money, you may not be able to travel. Because there is a bond, because there is no time. But at this moment, I finally stood at the foot of Tsangshan. The wind wrinkled the water of Irai Lake, and also wrinkled the shape of the clouds. I listened to the music and pedaled my bicycle, swaying on the trail. The place of the road is the wheat field, the reflection of the waves, and the flowing clouds held up by the Tsangshan Mountains. All the rhythms that follow the rules are crushed in the sound of the waves of Irai Lake at this moment. Life becomes free to sway. I also became a useless and vivid person. A large number of tired people gather here to set up all kinds of stalls. We sat on the ground, under the nebula, exchanging stories with each other. There is a medical girl who is so bored by work that she is close to collapse and resigns to live in the country. She said that here the days are finally no longer cut into pieces by holidays. There are also patients who are recovering from their illnesses, and he said that no one knows what the future will be, at least they are growing at the moment. We get together for a short time, and touch the softest and most hidden corners of each other's hearts. Then, like the 18 streams of Tsangshan, they twist and turn. Later, I went to the Dragon Shrine Pier alone to watch the sunrise. The water waves of Irai Lake crushed the sunlight into pulsating silver coins. When the Shin family struggled to survive, I didn't cry. When Pei Su spoke ill of me and kicked me out of the house, I didn't cry. But at this moment, I covered my cheeks and my shoulders trembled. I have never felt freedom so deeply. There are no scheduled alarm clocks, no tedious reminders in notepads. I responded to the call of the distant mountains and could be in a daze all day. I didn't plug the phone card back in until 2 weeks later. When I left Pei's house, I sent a text message to Mr. Pei and briefly told him about it. After inserting the card today, it was all missed calls. There was my dad who beat me, Mr. Pei who beat me, and Pei Su who beat me. I sat in the return car and dialed Mr. Pei's phone. Shu ran. His voice showed a strong sense of fatigue. Come back quickly. Pei Su. He's in a very bad state. 7. I still went back to Pei's house. After finding out that I was leaving, Pei Su was very angry. He didn't know what he was supposed to live with. For example, the bottles and cans in the medicine cabinet, he didn't know how many tablets he should eat every day. In the past, I poured water and put the medicine in front of him. He had a press conference that day, but he didn't know where the tie that matched the suit was. He tried to contact me, but he couldn't. Hearing the housekeeper, Pei-su lost his temper. All the cups and bowls were smashed by him, the vertical air conditioner was pushed to the ground by him, and even the coffee table and dining cabinet were overturned. The house is a mess. Mr. Pei had to find him a new nanny. But the new nanny didn't understand him, and was at a loss for a while. When I went back, Pei-su lost a lot of weight, and his chin became pointed. When he saw me, he lowered his eyebrows and turned his head away coldly. Humph, what are you doing when you come back? Aren't you leaving? Hate you, liar. When I was traveling, Mr. Pei found the landlord who rented the house. I don't know what he said, but the landlord refused to rent the apartment to me again. So I brought my luggage back again. Pei-su looked at the suitcase in my hand and snorted lowly. The Shin family doesn't want you. You have no place to live. Aren't you going to come back? I didn't explain and silently moved my luggage back to my room. The moment I turned my back, Pei-su behind me raised the corners of his lips slightly. The mood seems to be a little happy. He didn't know the real reason for my return. The apartment was vacated and I could rent it again. I could even leave the city and go to a new place to live. Mr. Pei and I chatted a lot on the phone. I told him that I had checked the marriage law. I can sue for divorce first, and it's okay if the first lawsuit fails. I will live separately from Pei-su and file for divorce after a year. According to the law, I will win the case the second time. He asked me why I insisted on divorce, and I couldn't get any money from the divorce. Yes. Mr. Pei is very shrewd. Before getting married, he asked me to sign a prenuptial property agreement with Pei-su. All of Pei-su's assets belong to the pre-marriage, including the studio. If I get divorced, I can almost only leave the house. I know, but I still want to leave. The marriage contract with Pei-su protected me for 5 years, and I also took care of him for 5 years. On the other end of the phone, Mr. Pei was silent for a long, long time. Just when I thought he was going to hang up, he said, I hired a new nanny, and she didn't know how to take care of Pei-su. You take care of him for another month, and make a good handover. As a reward, I will not stop the divorce, and I will give you another $1 million. The conditions were too generous for me to refuse. So Pei-su didn't know that this was my last month by his side. The housekeeper said that when I was away, he had not eaten well. But that night, Pei-su ate 2 bowls of rice. He snorted at me, praised me. I smiled and, like in the past, whispered, great. The corners of his lips hooked up in a beautiful curve. When he returned to the study, I quickly told the new sister he likes to be praised. You can usually praise him more. Don't point out what he did wrong on the spot, and remind him casually afterwards. Sister he took out a small notebook and wrote down what I said one by one. I took her to the medicine cabinet again, and told her how many times a day to take each medicine, and how many tablets at a time. Take medicine and get water. Don't be too hot, preferably warm water at about 40 degrees. His tie and cufflinks are all in the second cabinet of the coat rack. He wants to drink a glass of hot milk before going to bed. I told Sister he about his habits, and Sister he remembered it very seriously. After I came back, Pei-su's life was on the right track again, and he did not get sick again. But on this day, when Sister he went to deliver medicine to him, there was a sudden sound of a broken cup in the room. 8. When I rushed over, the ground was a mess. Everywhere were scattered glass slag and scattered tablets. Pei-su stood barefoot and accidentally stepped on a piece of broken glass, causing blood to flow out. He didn't realize it, he just pointed at Sister he and asked me word by word. Why her? Why not you? This is obviously what you did. Why do you want to change people? As he said, he grabbed my sleeve and shook his head. I don't want to be someone else. I just need you to deliver the medicine. So I poured him water again to get medicine. His emotions come and go quickly. After watching him obediently take the medicine I brought, I asked him, why me? I'm a little scared to see that it's not you. I asked softly, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid you're going to give me to someone else. Then leave, don't want me anymore. I have to say that his intuition is a little sharp. I am indeed handing over to Sister He, and let her take over Pei Su's life little by little. Pei Su also pulled my sleeve, I want you to come in the future. No substitutions. You promised me not to leave. According to Pei Su's stubborn character, if I tell the truth, he is bound to make a big fuss. I don't want to spend any more energy soothing his emotions. So I looked him in the eye and lied to him, okay, I promise you not to leave. Don't change people. There is only half a month left, and then half a month's medicine is fed. Pei Su curled the corners of his lips and smiled with satisfaction. He didn't notice that his leg was still bleeding. And this time, I didn't give him iodophor to clean the wound as usual. He also didn't notice Sister He's pitiful eyes. Everyone knew I was leaving, only he was immersed in his own world. At noon that day, I saw Xie Shuang again. She stood at the door of the villa, her eyes falling on the floor-to-ceiling windows of the study on the second floor. Pei Su was sitting by the window, bowing his head to play the piano. Xie Shuang wandered for a long time, not looking for Pei Su, but looking for me. She handed me a stack of yellowed sheet music. He has been looking for this score, please help me transfer it to him. I was slightly startled, Pei Su is upstairs, don't you go by yourself? No. Xie Shuang shook her head, and a wry smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. He doesn't want to see me again. Only then did I realize that Xie Shuang had run to Pei's house twice every 3 days, but she hadn't shown up recently. Even the ring she gave to Pei Su disappeared. Mrs. Shen. Xie Shuang spoke softly, interrupting my thoughts. She asked me, I like Pei Su, can you see it? I nodded. It's so obvious, I can't see it. When I first saw the music festival, everyone was in a group, and he was the only one who was alone and out of place with the crowd, and I spotted him at a glance. He was so good looking, I forgot what song he played that day, I just patronized and stared at him. After learning that his mobile phone was out of battery, I took the opportunity to take him home. I'm not a fool, I know that he is different from normal people when I talk to him, but I think he is very cute and pure like this. When Pei Su was mentioned, a shallow smile appeared in Xie Shuang's eyes. After you left, Mr. Pei contacted me and said that you were in the process of divorce. I was actually very happy when I heard the news. I have always thought that you and Pei Su are people from two worlds. He is immersed in the art space, and your eyes are only firewood, rice, oil and salt. Pei Su and I have the same idol, I like the same style, and there is always endless music to talk about when we are together, and I am more suitable for him than you. It's good for me to persuade Pei Su to divorce you. I can take on the responsibility of taking care of him. But do you know what the result is? 9. Xie Shuang has been standing at the door of the villa talking to me. I asked her if she wanted to go in and sit down. She raised her eyes fell on Pei Su on the second floor, and she shook her head. Xie Shuang said that after I left, she stayed with Pei Su at the villa for a few days. In the study, Pei Su chatted with her about music. Leaving the study, Pei Su started talking about me. I made him a strawberry cake, and he was stunned for a while, and actually told me that you like strawberries the most. There is a row of dolls on the sofa in the living room, he said you sewed them with your own hands, and you also named each doll together. There is a group photo of you on the window of his room, and I want to count how many there are, but I find that I haven't counted them at all. Are you really the most unacceptable thing for me? Xie Shuang raised her eyes to look at me, her eyes darkened. He played a chord and told me that this melody goes well with you, he has never been separated from you for so long, he misses you. I really don't know these things. And then I wondered why Pei Su suddenly didn't want to see her. Then I suddenly realized that Pei Su and I have known each other for so long, he has never talked to me except for music, and we have never had physical contact. I asked him if he would divorce you. He didn't hesitate at all and told me bluntly that he wouldn't. I was a little crazy that night, and I wanted to prove that he liked me. So I went into his room, took off my clothes in front of him, and asked him to try it with me. He said before that he was disgusted when he was with you. If he was willing to do this with me, would it prove that he liked me? I didn't speak, and quietly listened to Xie Shuang finish the matter. I didn't expect him to react like that. Disbelief, panic, disgust and rejection. I can't tell you what kind of complicated expression it was, but he was very angry and shook off my hand and kicked me out. Before leaving, he was so angry that his face turned red. He said he thought I was different from others, but he didn't expect it to be so vulgar. He also said don't come to him again in the future, he doesn't want to see me again. Xie Shuang lowered her eyelashes to hide the loneliness in her eyes. When I left, he sat in the pile of dolls on the sofa and called out your name softly. When I originally liked a married man, I could still tell myself that Pei Su didn't like you. It was you who used marriage to bind him, who didn't know the world, and the one who was not loved was the third party. But now, she looked at the person through a glass from a distance and let out a murky breath. I still like him, but I know it's impossible. Help me pass it on to him. I've been looking for this score for a long, long time. I don't know if Pei Su didn't see it, or if he didn't want to see her. Xie Shuang stood at the door of Pei's house for more than an hour, and Pei Su never looked down at her. When leaving, she walked very slowly. But until it completely disappeared from my field of vision, I couldn't look at the person I wanted to see as I wanted. Pei Su has been particularly clingy to me lately. He would even start to have nothing to talk to me about. He asked me where the half moon I had disappeared had gone. I showed him photos and videos of the trip and shared those interesting experiences with him. In the market on March Street, there are brooches and earrings made of tsangshan fruit. It's very creative, and if you see it, you'll love it. Do you know tie-dyeing, tile cats, plant rubbing, and printmaking? You see, I made these things with my own hands, which is very memorable. I also followed the people in the village up the mountain to pick mushrooms, walked along the valley stream, and picked a basket full of mushrooms, and for the first time I truly experienced the joy of a good harvest. Sorry, am I saying too much? I'm not usually a talkative person, but for some reason, when Pei Su asks me about travel, I can always talk endlessly. There was not even time for him to interject. Pei Su just smiled and looked at me. It's okay. You say, I'll listen. He listened quietly to me describe what he saw and heard, and finally suddenly asked me, do you like to travel? I nodded without hesitation. But I always feel that I should feel more at ease at home. But it's okay, you can try. I was stunned. What to try? Pei Su tossed and turned with the tile cat I made, and did not answer me. Recently, he has not been to the studio, but prefers to stay at home. On this day, he suddenly called my name in the study. Shu ran. I asked him what was wrong. He pushed open the door and waved to me, come in. I always remember Pei Su's furious appearance after entering the study that time. So I didn't move my steps and still stood at the door of the study. But he grabbed my sleeve and led me into the study. You can come in later. No one else can do it, only you. I have a gift for you. 10. The study is very large. In addition to the desk and chairs, there is also a white piano. Today, Pei Su was dressed in a black suit and specially wore a tie. He would only dress so formally when he was going to play. The floor-to-ceiling windows projected the light of the setting sun on Pei Su's body. He was dressed in a sunset, and the ends of his hair were plaited with a light layer of gold. The eyelashes like butterfly wings fanned lightly, and his fingers jumped, and notes poured from his fingertips. Some people are born tone-deaf, like me. I don't know what adagio is, I only know that the sound of the piano is layered at this moment. Like the dense waves in the sea in early spring, the peaks and clouds echo. Fluttering, saying that romance is too vulgar, saying that it is too deep and too strong. I listened quietly. At the end of the song, He looked up at me, does it sound good? I nodded and applauded from the bottom of my heart, it sounds good. It's a first draft and it needs to be improved. He pointed to a thick stack of piano scores, if you change it again, it will be better. I liked this piece very much, so I asked him, what's your name? Pei-su hesitated for a moment and said softly, I haven't thought about it yet. This song is written for you. It's your birthday in a few days, this is a gift. I was stunned, I didn't expect him to give me such a gift. He shook his head twice and suddenly changed the topic. Do you know the reason for my illness? I asked Mr. Pei about this, and he told me that Pei-su's illness was caused by improper care by the nanny. But Pei-su told me, it has nothing to do with the nanny, it's my parents. Huh? He was silent for a moment, as if he wanted to explain the ins and outs to me. But his fingers were not only shaking, as if just recalling the past had consumed all his strength. It's okay if it's too painful, you don't need to tell me. I poured him a glass of warm water. He gritted his teeth. I want to tell you, let you know. After a long period of psychological construction, he said with great difficulty, my dad chased my mother for a long time, and my mother agreed to get married. 2 years later, my mother found out that my dad had found other women outside besides her. For the first time, my mother was very angry, and my dad knelt down and promised that he would change. But later there will be a second, third and fourth. I also bumped into my dad and others at home. Really, disgusting. My mother can't stand it and takes me out. My dad came over and begged my mother to forgive me. My mother relented again and went home. After I went back, my mother realized that my dad was not separated from the people outside. Even when I went to find my mother, I took that woman with me. My mom is coaxing me to sleep here, and my dad is sleeping with that woman next door. But this time, my mother didn't cry or make trouble, and she was suddenly very calm. She even asked my dad to go on a trip with her. This is our first trip as a family of 3, and the only time. He clenched his cuffs tightly, suppressing his surging emotions. That night, in a strange city, my mother took a knife and stabbed my dad in the chest. My dad was covered in blood, resisted desperately, and strangled my mother's neck. I was locked on the balcony by my mother, desperately slamming the door, and couldn't get out. When I wake up, my parents will never move again. I froze in place. It's not at all the same as the version I've heard. The love story of Pei's father and Pei's mother is a good story in a wealthy family. At the beginning, Pei's father had already set a marriage partner, but he fell in love with Pei's mother at first sight, who was from an ordinary family. Pei's mother didn't want to get involved in the family, so she didn't agree at first. For years after Pei's father saddled her in front of her, Pei's mother was moved by him and finally agreed to his proposal. After marriage, the husband and wife were in love, and it didn't take long for Pei-su to have Pei-su. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long, and when he went out, Pei's mother died of a heart attack, and Pei's father didn't want his deceased wife to be alone and martyred. But who would have thought that under such a love story, what was hidden was actually a heartless and bloody past? Pei-su, who witnessed the death of his parents, was only 6 years old and his mind was not yet sound. He was seriously ill and woke up like this. I finally knew why Pei-su was insecure when he went out and was so resistant to marriage and intimacy. Shuran, I say this because I want you to know me, the complete me. He sat next to me, hesitated for a moment, and slowly and little by little touched the back of my hand with his palm. I know I'm sick and I'll get over it. In the future you can enter the study. I don't talk about you. You can also hold my hand. I won't get rid of it. I will take medicine obediently and not lose my temper with you. He looked at me seriously. Such a sincere look is like taking out a heart for me. For the first time, I really felt the temperature of his palm. I don't know if the light is ambiguous, but his voice is particularly soft. Shuran, let's go on a trip together. I'll go to a new place. When I come back, I'll give you a birthday. He took my hand, opened the map, and carefully studied the city above. I looked at the gradually darkening sky and dialed Mr. Pei's phone. I told him that Pei Su wanted to travel. Mr. Pei pondered for a moment and asked me, "Have you handed over to sister he clearly? It's been less than a week since I left. If I go on a trip, I should leave directly when I come back. I have explained everything that should be explained to sister he." Mr. Pei said, "It's okay if he wants to go out for a walk, take him for a walk." Pei Su and I discussed for a long time, and decided to go to Inner Mongolia together. 11. Pei Su studied the strategy and formulated the itinerary. He also deliberately took out a camera. "I can take pictures of you and help you record them." He is a very planner. I had a full schedule, and I even decided in advance what I wanted to eat every day. Our destination this time is Ulaanbaatar. When I got on the plane, I could clearly feel Pei Su's mood swings. Maybe he has the experience of being locked up on the balcony. He doesn't like such a confined space. Like that high-speed train, he became particularly restless. While sitting next to me, he tugged at my sleeve and leaned back and forth to me. Airplanes are different from high-speed rail, and you can't go down halfway. If it's not comfortable, let's go back, don't force yourself. Pei Su pursed his lips tightly and shook his head. "It's okay. Let's go, I don't want to ruin you anymore." When the plane took off, he held my hand, sweating profusely from his palms. On the way, there was a strong convection, and the plane was violently bumpy. Pei Su didn't open his eyes the whole time, as if he was taking a nap with his eyes closed. But the sweat-soaked forehead hair, and the hand holding me tightly still exposed his emotions at this time. He was nervous. After the plane arrived at Chifeng, it took another 4 hours to charter a car. Pei Su has always been very vigilant. The completely different climate and environment made him more anxious and sensitive than usual. I comforted him all the way, and he pulled up the corners of his mouth and smiled at me. "Shu Ran, I'm fine." I believed it and took him to the hotel suite, and took a hot shower. When he came out, he saw Pei Su squatting in the corner, and his whole body was slightly shrinking. After seeing me, he took 2 deep breaths, opened his suitcase and rummaged through it, and fed himself 2 calming pills. Before I could speak, he pretended to be indifferent and got up. "I will wash too. I'm fine, I'm really fine, don't worry." This night, he tossed and turned for a long time, as if he couldn't sleep. Over the years, he has never left the bed in the villa every night, and he should have recognized the bed. I asked him softly, "Would you like to tell you a bedtime story?" "It's okay, I'm almost asleep." "You sleep too. Tomorrow, let's see the grassland together." After that, he never turned over again, quietly, as if he had really fallen asleep. But the next day, the black-green under his eyes still exposed the fact that he hadn't slept well all night. He even eats very little and often stuffs medicine into his mouth. Originally, I was very yearning for the prairie, but when I saw that he was in such a bad state, my mind was on him, and I didn't even have time to appreciate the morning mist of Princess Lake. In any case, I brought people out, and I must take them back well. Pei Su pointed to the rolling mountains in the distance. "Don't look at me, look over there. You go over and I'll take a picture." He took out his phone to take pictures of me, and his hand that pressed the shutter was trembling slightly. Other tourists saw him and said softly, "Why is your face so bad, like a high rebellion?" "No, this altitude is less than 2,000 meters. Pei Su looked at me and tried to explain to me, "Get used to it, it's okay." He pulled me to take a lot of photos, but he was always not satisfied. "No, it's not like that." I asked him what was wrong, but he didn't answer me, and quickly twisted his sleeves into twists. An uncle passed by us, shook his head, and sighed. Today's young people really love to take pictures. The subject's face was so bad, he didn't send him to the hospital, and he was still taking pictures here. Pei Su lowered his head a little embarrassed, stared at the tips of his shoes, and took a deep breath. "Shu Ran, wait for the next shot. Let's take a walk first. We walked on the prairie together, and the couple next to us ran freely in the mountain wind. I looked at their backs and sighed softly, so free. He tried to speed up his pace, and ran with me in the wilderness. But the unfamiliar environment around him made him extremely cautious, and he couldn't feel free like ordinary people. He could only say to me, "Shuran, you run, I'll help you record." No, let's walk slowly together. There are many haystacks rolled up by herders along the way, and cattle and sheep often pass by, and it is very comfortable to calm down. Pei-su didn't speak, and the corners of his mouth pulled out a self-deprecating arc. After we went out for 3 days, he was visibly thin, and his whole body was a lot haggard. If travel is here to recharge my batteries, then travel is a kind of torture for him. There is always a moment when suppressed emotions explode. On this day, I went to try horseback riding. Pei-su raised his camera on the spot to take a picture of me. The horse spread its 4 hooves and gradually picked up speed, from a slow run to a small run. Pei-su held the camera and pressed the shutter again and again. I was swallowed up by the pleasure of galloping and slowly closed my eyes. Then, a scream came from his ears. I quickly came back to my senses. It was Pei-su's voice. 12. Pei-su fell ill. The cause of the illness is because of a couple around me. The couple quarreled for some reason. The man said that he would beat the woman after going back. The woman said that if he dared to leave, she would stab him to death with a knife. The husband and wife quarreled, and the words were a little ruthless. The people around him avoided it, only Pei-su slowly turned his head and stared at them. The more noisy they became, the more fierce they became, and Pei-su's breathing became heavier and heavier. It may be that he has been highly nervous in the past few days, or it may be that he remembers something bad in the past, and when the man pushed the woman to the ground, he rushed up to block the man. Then, he fell ill. Pei-su couldn't control his emotions when he fell ill, so I stayed by his side and comforted him over and over again. It wasn't until the sun went down that he gradually calmed down. "Shuran, I'm sorry for worrying you." He sat on the grass, hands on his knees, his eyebrows and eyes lonely. "Come out with me, it's bad, right?" I shook my head gently, "No, it's not bad." "But you're not happy. I saw a photo of your trip to Dali, and you smiled very brightly. When you get home, you are no longer as happy as in the photos. I want to make you happy, so I call you out on a trip. But you are far less bright in my lens than in the lens of passers-by in Dali. While you were riding, I finally took a satisfactory photo. But after just one photo, I fell ill. Shuran, I'm so useless. With me, even traveling can't make you relax. How can it be relaxed with a person who gets sick at any time?" What he said was the truth, and I couldn't refute it. I sat with him on the grass and saw the sunset fall into the horizon little by little. He sat there, the light in his dark eyes was sparse and broken, and he said in a dumb voice, "Shuran, I am really a terrible person." It was completely dark, so I stood up and patted the grass on my body. "Don't think about it. I had already booked a return ticket for tomorrow, and the trip will end soon. Tomorrow I will return, the day after tomorrow is my birthday, and I will be able to leave with 1,000,000 the day after tomorrow." Thus Pei-su followed me up and left, looking depressed and speechless along the way. Even on the way back, he was unusually quiet, occasionally picking up his phone to arrange something. After returning home, he finally relaxed and his breathing became much more stable. Before going to bed, he hesitated again, and he said, "Good night, Shuran. Tomorrow, I have a new birthday present for you." I thought it was a song or an object. But the next day, he showed up at the door of my room in a suit. "Shuran, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Go file for divorce." Pei-su is a very paranoid person. What he believes never changes. So after he said he would not divorce, I was ready to spend a year or 2 litigating for divorce. But I didn't expect Pei-su to change his mind temporarily. I couldn't help but ask him, why? He said in a very calm tone, you are unhappy, I don't want to drag you down. When he said this, he even pretended to be relaxed, and his beautiful eyes curled up shallowly. But the eyes were red. Shuran, I am a very twisted and dull person, and I have to wait until you leave to find out that I love you. I once thought secretly that I would tie you up to my side by any means. But by my side, you are not happy. Really, not happy at all. Speaking of this, his tone was choked up, and his eyes were red. I've dragged you down long enough, I don't want you to be sad anymore. So, I'll let go. This is the first time I have seen him cry. I originally thought that people like him would not cry at all. But in the car to the Civil Affairs Bureau, his tears were hot and hit my palm. It's like an unstoppable spring rain. The car stopped at the door of the Civil Affairs Bureau, and he wiped away his tears with the back of his hand. With his red eyes opened, he opened the car door for me and smiled at me with difficulty. Shuran, the gift I gave you for your 25th birthday is freedom. 13. The cooling-off period for divorce is 30 days. In the past 30 days, Mr. Pei has tried to keep me. He asked me, Pei-su has already realized his feelings for you, do you have to divorce? If you stay, you will have a better life. I shook my head, no. He didn't quite understand. Shuran, nothing happened between him and Xie Shuang, not to mention that he likes you now. His love only came a little late, so do you just leave him like this? Can you give him another chance? But I still shook my head, no. Once a person is tainted with freedom, there is no way to be willingly bound. Leaving the Pei family caused an uproar. My dad called me and scolded me for a long time, and Mrs. Shen also blamed me. They said I should be grateful to Pei-su. If the Pei family hadn't chosen me, they would have sent me to marriage. It could be a widowed middle-aged uncle, or a greasy man who likes little girls. What else are you not satisfied with? Do you know that your sister and brother-in-law have 3 children outside, and she can endure it, why can't you? In the end, my dad threatened to sever the father-daughter relationship with me. I nodded, okay. 30 days later, Pei-su and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce red book. Along with the red original is a check. Pei-su's property is estimated to be about 1 billion. This check is $1 billion. He handed me $1 billion check. Shuran, take a farther road in the future, climb higher mountains, and go to a broader world. Also, can I see you again in the future? I nodded, yes. From now on, I will invite you to come to my birthday party every year. Pei-su sighed and finally laughed. Turn 1,000 words into a sentence. Shuran, cherish. 14. Pei-su. The first time I realized that I liked Shuran was in the old house. At that time, she told her grandfather that she wanted to divorce me. My subconscious reaction is resistance. When I found out that I didn't want to get a divorce, I was stunned. Because of my parents, I hated, rejected, and even feared marriage since I was a child. I always feel that Shuran has bound me with marriage. I have always looked forward to the day when I can dissolve my marriage. But I found that when that day really came, I was extremely resistant in my heart. I lied to myself and also to Shuran that I was just used to her existence. I deliberately asked Xie Shuang to stay. Deliberately said that Xie Shuang's clothes were good-looking. I want to prove that I don't like Shuran, and I don't like this woman my grandfather forced me to do. Then, Shuran left. After learning the news, I was angry, anxious and blamed myself. I was angry that she left without saying goodbye, and that she left me. Eager to get her back. Xie Shuang appeared at this time and persuaded me to divorce. Even took off my clothes and asked me to do that kind of thing. A nameless fire surged in my heart. I am very reluctant to have intimate relationships, and do not want to have such relationships with anyone. But at that moment, an inexplicable thought came to my mind. If the person opposite is Shuran, it is not impossible. I finally couldn't deceive myself anymore. I fell in love with Shuran. I missed her so much, and when I missed her, I could only bury my face in the pile of dolls she sewn. Later, she finally came back. I was still stubborn, but I was very happy in my heart. But I don't know why, I always have a feeling. I felt like she was doing the handover, and then pushed me to the new sister he. I was afraid of being left behind by her again. Even if she dies, I want her to die by my side. So, I deliberately showed favor to her. Chat with her, write songs for her, and express your heart. But I found that she was unhappy. In front of me, she is always lifeless. Like a numb walking corpse. But obviously she is so alive in those travel videos. I wanted to make her happy, I called her to travel with me. Then I realized that it was not travel that brought life to Shinshurun. It is to leave me and rejuvenate her. Even when she traveled with me, she was exhausted. Pay attention to me who may get sick at any time, and never really relax. That day, sitting on the grassland of Ulanbuten, I suddenly felt sorry for her. Why was her luck so bad, but she met me? Is it that if she stays by my side any longer, she won't even smile? I thought, in that case, give her freedom. The gift I originally wanted to give her for her 25th birthday was that song. The song took a lot of effort on my side, but I always felt that it was missing something. I don't like imperfect things. Maybe it's fate, I should change a gift. So, I gave her free. Along with it, it was the check she deserved. Over the years, she has suffered. After the divorce, I locked myself in my study. Watched the song I wrote for Shinshurun over and over again. I changed it many times and was not satisfied. Until one night, Shinshurun appeared in my dream. At the age of 15, she smiled at me in the rose garden. Aren't you afraid of pain? I don't care if I shed so much blood. At the age of 20, she looked at me with a smile. Tae-soo, will I take care of you in the future? At the age of 25, she carefully took out a headphone. Hey, I grabbed your birthday gift for a long time. When I woke up, my pillow was wet. I knew what was missing from that piece. I was bored in the study for 2 days, and went to the studio to record. It's the best song I've ever written. It's called Shuran. I would like to dedicate this song to my eternal lover. The popularity of Shuran is very high, and I gave the copyright to Shinshurun. That was originally given to her. We agreed to meet once a year, and at other times, I could only look at her social media accounts. I watched every video she posted. She went horseback riding, racing, skiing. She is so quiet and follows the rules, and there is such an uninhibited soul hidden under her body. A beautiful flower was raised by me to wither. After leaving me, she finally bloomed again. That's great. Since then, I have been looking forward to Shinshurun's birthday year after year. Because only that day can I meet her. She is growing vigorously. 15. This year, my friends came a lot. Tae-soo was still the first to come, and he sat quietly in the corner. Every birthday, he would bring me gifts. It is always the most precious in the audience. Mr. Pei once asked me if I wanted to remarry Tae-soo. He said that after he left, Tae-soo has always been single. I laughed dumbly and shook my head in refusal. I once truly loved Tae-soo. He was the dream man of my girl when she was pregnant. But the years are like passing water, and the love will eventually wear away. He also became the person I left yesterday. And